The annual Henderson family Thanksgiving dinner was in full swing, crystal glasses clinking against fine china as my relatives competed to share their latest achievements. I sat quietly at the far end of the table, picking at my turkey and trying to ignore the familiar undercurrent of judgment. And then, my cousin Bradley announced, straightening his Hermès tie, "I closed the Peterson account. Biggest deal in the firm's history." "That's my boy," Uncle Richard beamed, following in his father's footsteps, making the family proud. I took another sip of wine, remembering the memo I'd seen that morning about Bradley's biggest deal. Peterson Industries was shopping around for new representation, unimpressed with their current firm's outdated approach. "Madison," Aunt Martha's sharp voice cut through my thoughts. "Still working as a secretary at that little company? What was it called again?" "Executive assistant," I corrected mildly, though my actual title was something quite different. "At Quantum Dynamics." "Oh yes, that's right." She waved her bejeweled hand dismissively. "Such a shame you never finished your MBA. Could have made something of yourself like Bradley." I had finished my MBA, summa cum laude, from Harvard Business School. But they didn't know that. Just like they didn't know that Quantum Dynamics wasn't just that little company. "Madison's always been content with simple work," my mother added, sharing a knowing look with Aunt Martha. "Not everyone has Bradley's ambition." If they only knew about the acquisition deal I'd been negotiating all morning, or the board meeting I'd stepped out of to attend this dinner. But I'd learned long ago that sometimes the best power is the kind you keep hidden. "How much does a secretary make these days?" my younger cousin Ashley asked, not bothering to hide her smirk. "Can't be much, considering your clothes." I glanced down at my intentionally modest outfit, a simple black dress from a department store, costume jewelry, subtle makeup. Everything calculated to maintain the image they'd created of me, the underachieving cousin who'd settled for administrative work. "I manage," I said quietly, checking my phone under the table. "The board vote on the Wilson Tech acquisition should be coming in any minute." "You should let Bradley help you find a real job," Aunt Martha suggested. "His firm is always looking for support staff." Bradley puffed up importantly. "Of course. We could start you in the mailroom, work your way up to a proper administrative position." "That's very kind," I replied, fighting back a smile as I thought about the org chart sitting on my desk, where Bradley's entire firm was just one small subsidiary we were considering acquiring. The conversation moved on, as it always did, to more successful family members. My cousin Jessica's new medical practice, Uncle Richard's expanding law firm, the summer homes and luxury cars and country club memberships that marked success in their world. I'd grown up in this family, watching them measure worth by designer labels and social connections. When I chose to start at the bottom of Quantum Dynamics, really at the bottom as an actual executive assistant, they'd seen it as confirmation of their low expectations. What they didn't know was that I'd chosen that path deliberately. While they were networking at cocktail parties, I was learning every aspect of the business from the ground up. While they were bragging about corner offices, I was quietly building something revolutionary. "Madison," my mother's voice interrupted my thoughts. "At least tell me you're dating someone? A nice accountant maybe, or a bank manager. Someone who could give you a better life." I thought about my penthouse apartment overlooking Central Park, the vacation home in Aspen I'd bought last summer, the private jet I used for business trips. "My life is fine, Mom." "Fine isn't good enough," she sighed. "Look at Bradley, engaged to a senior partner's daughter. That's the kind of connection that matters." Bradley's fiancée was currently running her trust fund into the ground with a failing boutique fitness studio. I knew because her loan application had crossed my desk last week. Speaking of connections, Uncle Richard boomed from the head of the table. "I just joined the board of First National Bank. Real power move, if you know what I mean." I did know what he meant. First National was struggling, desperate for capital injection. Another potential acquisition target my team was evaluating. "Real business," Aunt Martha declared, "happens in boardrooms, not behind secretaries' desks." "No offense, Madison." "None taken," I murmured, feeling my phone vibrate. "The board vote must be in." "I mean really," Ashley continued, warming to the topic, "what do you even do all day? Get coffee? Answer phones?" I thought about the morning's executive meeting, where I'd outlined our 5-year expansion strategy. About the international merger I'd orchestrated last quarter. About the technology patents that had revolutionized our industry. Something like that, I said. You know, Bradley leaned forward, his voice dripping with condescension. My firm handles some pretty important clients. Real movers and shakers. Not like your little tech company. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, like Peterson Industries. He blinked, thrown off rhythm. How did you know about that? Just a guess, I smiled. They seem like your kind of client. Well, yes, he recovered quickly. Just closed a massive deal with them. Very hush-hush, you understand. High-level business strategy. I nodded, knowing that tomorrow morning, Peterson would announce they were switching to new representation. Sometimes karma had perfect timing. Madison probably doesn't understand all that complex business talk, Aunt Martha said kindly. Better to stick to topics she can follow. My phone buzzed again, this time with more urgency. I should really check it, but part of me wanted to let the scene play out a bit longer. Do you even have a retirement plan? My mother worried. Health insurance? What about your future? I thought about my stock options worth more than this entire family's combined net worth. About the corporate empire I'd built while they were busy underestimating me. I'm working on it, I said. Working on it? Aunt Martha scoffed. At your age you should be established. Like Bradley. Bradley raised his wine glass in a mock toast. Don't worry, cuz. Not everyone can be a business success. Someone has to answer the phones, right? My phone buzzed a third time. Now I really needed to check it. Excuse me, I said, standing up. I should take this. Work calls, you know. On Thanksgiving? My mother frowned. Surely they can manage without their secretary for one day. I stepped into the hallway, pulling out my phone. 3 urgent messages from my CFO about the Wilson Tech acquisition. $50 million hung in the balance. Behind me, I could hear Bradley holding court about his latest business triumph. My family hanging on every word. None of them noticed me scrolling through confidential documents worth billions, orchestrating moves that would reshape entire industries. Just as I was about to call my CFO back, Aunt Martha's voice carried clearly from the dining room. I just don't understand why Madison won't accept her limitations. Not everyone is meant for success. I smiled, walking back toward the dining room. Maybe it was time for them to understand exactly what success looked like. My phone rang just as I reached my seat. Perfect timing. I looked at my phone's screen, seeing my CFO's name. With deliberate calm, I pressed the speaker button, making sure the volume was loud enough for everyone to hear. Yes, Michael? Miss Chin, the board just voted. The Wilson Tech acquisition is approved, full $50 million package, terms exactly as you specified. The clinking of silverware stopped. Bradley's wine glass froze halfway to his mouth. Excellent, I replied, keeping my voice casual. And the Peterson Industries situation? They signed with us this afternoon. They're announcing the switch from Henderson and Partners tomorrow morning. Bradley choked on his wine. Perfect. Have legal prepare the press releases. I want everything ready for the market opening. Of course, Ms. Chin. Oh, and Goldman Sachs called again about the First National Bank deal. They're eager to discuss terms. Uncle Richard's fork clattered against his plate. Tell them I'll review their proposal next week. Michael? Have my jet ready for the London meeting on Monday. I'll need the latest projections for the European expansion. I ended the call, looking up to find every face at the table frozen in various states of shock. The silence was absolute, broken only by the soft ticking of the antique grandfather clock in the corner. You, Chet, my mother whispered. Madison, Aunt Martha's voice shook slightly. What exactly is your position at Quantum Dynamics? I smiled, reaching into my simple handbag and pulling out a copy of last month's Forbes magazine. My photo was on the cover with the headline, The Silent Revolution, How Madison Chin Built a $4 billion Tech Empire in Secret. I'm the founder and CEO, I said, placing the magazine on the table. Have been since I started the company 8 years ago. Bradley grabbed the magazine, his face growing paler as he read. This is impossible. You're a secretary. No, I corrected him. I started as an executive assistant because I wanted to learn the business from the ground up. Every level, every detail, every aspect of how things really work. I turned to Aunt Martha. That little company you mock? We're now the largest tech consulting firm in North America. But, my mother stammered, But you never said anything. All these years. Would you have listened? I asked quietly. Or would you have tried to interfere, to push me toward what you consider real business like Bradley's failing law firm? Failing? Uncle Richard burst out. Henderson and Partners is one of the most prestigious is losing clients every quarter, I finished. Your overhead is unsustainable, your methods are outdated, and your biggest client is about to jump ship. I nodded toward Bradley. Peterson Industries is just the beginning. The color drained from Uncle Richard's face. How do you know all this? Because I make it my business to know. I pulled out my tablet, pulling up a series of graphs and charts. Just like I know First National Bank is desperately seeking a buyer to avoid regulatory intervention. Just like I know Bradley's fiancée's boutique fitness studio is 3 months from bankruptcy. Ashley, who had been unusually quiet, finally found her voice. Your clothes, your jewelry, are deliberately chosen, I confirmed. It's amazing how much people reveal when they think they're talking to someone beneath them. How much they overlook when they're busy feeling superior. The penthouse on Central Park, my mother said suddenly. The one you said you were house-sitting, that's yours? Yes. Along with homes in Aspen, London, and Singapore. I turned to Bradley. That biggest deal in firm's history, you were bragging about? Wouldn't cover my property taxes. The dining room erupted in chaos. Questions, exclamations, and accusations flew across the table. I sat back, sipping my wine, letting them process the revelation that had been hiding in plain sight all along. Finally, Aunt Martha spoke, her voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. Why reveal this now? Why not just continue letting us think? Because, I set down my glass. Tomorrow morning, Quantum Dynamics is announcing a major acquisition. We're buying out several smaller firms, consolidating our position in the market. I looked directly at Uncle Richard. Including Henderson and Partners. The silence that followed was deafening. You can't, Bradley protested weakly. The firm, it's our legacy. Your legacy is obsolete, I said firmly. But I'm offering you a chance to be part of something better. Those who are willing to learn, to adapt, to acknowledge their mistakes, they'll have a place in the new organization. And those who aren't? Uncle Richard demanded. Can find somewhere else to practice law. I stood up, smoothing my simple dress. The paperwork will be delivered tomorrow morning. I suggest you read it carefully. Especially the part about digital transformation and modern business practices. All this time, my mother whispered, we thought we were helping you, pushing you toward success. I found my own success, I replied. Built it my way on my terms. And now? I smiled, picking up my phone as it buzzed with another message. Now I get to decide what success looks like for all of you. As if on cue, my driver texted that my car was waiting. I gathered my things, leaving the Forbes magazine on the table. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Oh, and Bradley. I paused at the door. Peterson Industries sends their regards. They're quite happy with their new representation. The next morning, as headlines announced Quantum Dynamics' latest acquisitions, I sat in my penthouse office, watching the sun rise over Central Park. My phone was flooded with messages from family members, apologies, congratulations, desperate attempts to explain their past behavior. I let them wait. On my desk, a new frame held a photo from last night's dinner, the moment just after my phone call, when their carefully constructed illusions shattered. I kept it as a reminder that true success isn't about corner offices or country club memberships. It's about building something real, something meaningful, even when no one believes in you. Especially when no one believes in you. My assistant buzzed in. Miss Chin, your mother is in the lobby. She's asking to see you. I looked at the photo again, at all their shocked faces, and smiled. Send her up. It's time she saw what her simple daughter really does all day. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's proving yourself so completely right that they have no choice but to acknowledge it. And I had done exactly that.